No one has ever loved me before. I'm scared to have my heart broken. So I really hope that Loren is who I think he is.
Sorry, Faith. Loren absolutely isn't who you think he is. He's lied to you about everything. His job, his finances, his sex life, his intention to live in the Philippines. It's all been a lie. But on that topic of lies, has Ingrid been honest with Brian? Or is she in this just for a green card?
Tu vai embora ou ele vem embora pra cá? Tu vai, porque eu sei que tu morre de vontade de ir embora. Isso eu sei. Por isso tu tá procurando gringo, né?
So that's why you're looking for gringos, right? Oh gosh, that doesn't look promising, does it? But before we dive into that, let's start with Loren. Now, as we learned in the first episode, Loren's homeless, jobless, broke, and he's now on his way to the Philippines to meet and hopefully live off Faith. Only the problem is, he hasn't informed her about his plan.
I've been dreaming of a relationship with a ladyboy, like Faith, for my whole life. I'm going all in on this. But me and Faith have a lot to figure out. My finances, my desire for an open relationship.
Oh yeah, he also wants to marry Faith, but then push, his words, push for an open relationship so that he can have sex with other people. Like, there's something just really grimy about Loren, isn't there? I don't know, like, I can't quite put my finger on it yet, but it's almost like he's more attracted to the fact that Faith is trans than he is to Faith herself. And by his own admission, the fact that Faith hasn't had surgery and nor does she intend to is a big turn on for him. It's what attracts him to Faith.
Right now, I'm not taking any hormones because it's very expensive and I don't have plan to cut my, my friend.
Yeah, as I say, that is one of the primary reasons why Loren is attracted to Faith. He's readily admitted that past relationships haven't worked because his past partners haven't had a penis.
Because a penis is much more fun to play with, as long as it's female. I don't consider myself gay at all.
Now, as far as Faith is concerned, Faith's clearly a hard worker. I mean, she's a manager at a hotel. That's her primary source of income. But as a side hustle, she performs as a magician and also works as a makeup artist. She's clearly working hard to earn an income, and every dollar counts.
I really love working at the hotel is because I have a stable job and I live there for free. And because of that, I'm able to send money to my family.
Look, she's a hustler, right? She's carved out a life for herself that allows her to live as she wants and support her family. And that is precisely what makes Loren coming to the Philippines to live off her all the more disgusting. Loren's coming to the Philippines with no income, no savings, no job, no prospects, and no plan. All he seems to be concerned about is sleeping in the same bed as Faith, which she, by the way, isn't so sure about. But it quickly becomes clear from the way that Faith talks about Loren that she's very naive.
And Loren is different because he's respectful. This relationship is very important for me because this is my first boyfriend actually.
Faith tells us that being transgender in the Philippines isn't easy. She's had to deal with a lot of disrespect from sexual partners and from the wider general public. And that might be a clue as to why she's hopeful about love with Loren. She thinks he's respectful, but she is still very guarded. Like, she wants to open up her world to Loren, but she also wisely doesn't want to go in all guns blazing, which, ironically, is the complete opposite of what Loren wants.
I'm open to sleeping with him during this trip, but I told Loren I want to make sure I love him enough before we go to sex.
Faith's a romantic who wants to take things slow and be in love before she has sex. And Loren, by contrast, seems all too happy to bed hop with as many people as he can. Faith still has no idea that in Loren's mind, they're in an open relationship. He has been sleeping with other people whilst they've supposedly been together. And what's more, the more that we get to know Faith, the more obvious it becomes that Loren has been entirely dishonest about all aspects of his life.
Paano pag inaya ka sa kanila?
Kung bibigyan man ako ng chance na pumunta, igagrab ko na lang in case kung...
So okay naman yung buhay niya, ganon.
Faith's under the impression that Loren is visiting for a month and then in the future, maybe they'll settle in America. Now, Loren, in actual fact, has bought a one-way ticket and a cheap ring to marry her, and he has no plans to take either of them back. Now, Faith tells her friends she assumes that Loren's doing well financially because he seems to always be busy.
Pinakaano dun, hindi ko alam yung main trabaho niya talaga. Malalaman kasi pag nag-chat kami lagi, ang dami niyang trabaho.
Yeah, unfortunately, Faith, reality is very, very different from the perception and the picture that he's painting. Faith seems to have the wrong impression, and what a disappointment Loren is going to be when the truth finally comes out. Not only will she be disappointed, but she's also going to be heartbroken.
No one has ever loved me before. I'm scared to have my heart broken. So I really hope that Loren is who I think he is.
Hopefully Faith's guarded nature might just be her saving grace. Loren definitely isn't who she thinks he is, but it is good to know that she has great friends around her. Like, she clearly has a great support network for when this relationship inevitably crashes and burns. Now, we join them the next day at the airport as, after a lot of nerves and touching up of makeup, Loren and Faith finally meet for the very first time.
Yeah. Finally.
One thing about this show, right, regardless of how messed up the couples are, these airport reunions always get me. When you see them like this, hugging, filled with optimism, a part of you wonders whether or not they might just make it, whether the love really is real. And then you pinch yourself and remember this is the creep that exercises and cooks shrimp in a bathroom. Yeah, no chance. Now, again, optimism or not, Faith's sense of self-preservation, her wall is still up. She's happy he's here, but she's not getting swept away in the moment. In fact, she tells Loren she's not yet even ready for a kiss. And thankfully, for now at least, Loren respects her wishes. He doesn't try to push the line, which, ironically, just reinforces Faith's confirmation bias. He really is a respectful, good man, she says.
I'm so proud because as a trans, Loren is so excited. He's not embarrassed at all.
What a low, low bar. Your boyfriend isn't embarrassed by you, so that makes you proud. Something tells me Faith might be reassessing that when she finds out that Loren is here to essentially live off her. Now, over on the other side of the world, in Brazil, Ingrid is eagerly anticipating Brian's arrival, and we get the opportunity to meet Ingrid properly. She tells us that as a single mother of two, life hasn't been easy for her.
Fiquei desempregada assim quando ele nasceu com 7 meses. Eu com bebê de 7 meses, pequeno, sem ninguém para me ajudar financeiramente.
Ingrid opens up about how the father of her youngest child, Arthur, abandoned her when she was 2 months pregnant, and that left her in a terrible position. That experience, she says, even though I overcame it and it's made me the person I am today, what it taught me is I don't want to do life alone. And that is what led to her joining the dating app where she and Brian connected.
Então, realmente eu queria encontrar uma pessoa que se importasse de verdade comigo, com os meus filhos. E aí eu encontrei o Brian.
Now, Ingrid reveals that after she found out Brian was in a wheelchair, she was shocked. "I've never met anyone in a wheelchair before," she says, which is interesting because according to Brian, Ingrid never talks to him or asks questions about it.
Ingrid obviously knows that I'm in a wheelchair, but she doesn't know details, bathroom stuff, sexual stuff. She's never really asked me about it, which surprises me.
That's a bit weird, isn't it? You'd think that she'd surely be interested. She'd want to know how it might impact not just Brian's life, but also her life. But as she meets her friend at her friend's ranch, we learn that not only has she not mentioned that Brian's in a wheelchair to her friend, but it also seems Ingrid hasn't really thought that deeply about it at all.
Ele faz tudo que uma pessoa normal faz, ele só não anda. O que ele diz. Eu lavo, eu passo, eu cozinho, eu ando, eu dirijo, eu saio.
Now, maybe this isn't all entirely Ingrid's fault. It certainly does seem like Brian may have sugarcoated and hidden the worst aspects of what life as a disabled quadriplegic man really is like. He's been very clear he's told her what he can do, but not so much what he can't. And as the conversation turns to what their future together might look like, whether Ingrid would like to live in Brazil or the States, her friend lets slip something that's very telling.
Vocês já pensaram?
Nunca perguntei isso pra ele.
Tu vai, porque eu sei que tu morre de vontade de ir embora. Isso eu sei. Por isso que tu tá procurando gringo, né?
So, is Ingrid just looking for an American meal ticket? Is she just looking for a man, any man, to get her out of Brazil and into the States? I mean, maybe. Obviously, we're going to have to see how she acts, but that is definitely a red flag. Now, keep in mind, Ingrid still hasn't told her dad about Brian's existence, but, she tells us, she does hope to introduce them while Brian's in Brazil.
Eu tenho certo receio dos meus pais não aceitarem, ter uma reação muito agradável quando, se por acaso encontrar com o Brian.
Ingrid does, however, go on to say that if her parents don't accept Brian, then she can't either. That would mark the end of the relationship. So, so watch out for that storyline to come, I suspect. But forget her parents. Ingrid herself seems completely unprepared for Brian, which we see as she packs her lingerie the next day when she goes to meet him at the airport. Remember, sex, or more specifically ejaculation, could potentially be life-threatening for Brian. I highly doubt, given she hasn't asked any questions, that Ingrid is aware of that. Still, that is a problem for another day, or another episode at least, because for now, first thing on the agenda is for the pair to finally actually meet.
Vem, pô. Senta aqui, meu. Dá braço. Vem cá.
Eu vou sentar.
Meu Deus.
Eu não tô acreditando que tá.
It's cute. I mean, again, as always, it's a sweet scene. Both of them get emotional. They both tear up. We've waited 2.5 years for this moment, Brian tells us. And while Ingrid reassures Brian that he's exactly the way she pictured him, nothing's changed in her mind, she tells us. There is one split second. There's this look that she gives that perhaps hints maybe she's not being honest.
É a imaginação que eu sempre tive. Cadeira de ver o Brian na primeira vez, não me mudou nada.
Yeah, did you catch that? That little gasp of air, that little eye movement, at the very least, makes me think she's a bit more uncomfortable with this situation than she's initially letting on. But I guess we'll see in the next episode whether or not that hunch is correct when she gets to put on her lingerie and hopefully not kill him.